it's physically, I'm saying this is what hope really ought to be.
Okay.
It's physically in a place of being very, very much in relationship with what is real,
Right.
but then choosing to orient towards it in a non-reactive stance.
Does it also shift things? So that choosing to orient in a like is hope. I like this. I'm getting a visual image. Like if you're sort of got this right fluid optimal grip on a complex situation, and it's predominantly this way. But because you're really in touch, you see a possibility here, and that your stance towards it might actually afford that possibility coming forth. Is it
Yes.
something like that?
Yes, exactly it. And this is key. Like, again, it's very,
It's an educing, it's a drawing out.
if you try to teleport to the end, you're engaging in the magical thinking that
Right.
has claimed hope.
Yes.
It's very different, right? It's that notion of one. Well, it's like flow.
Right.
One, if I get back on my heels, if I second guess myself, if I assume the worst, then I will destabilize my capacity. I will be out of balance. I will no longer be able to be in conformity with what's actually happening.
Right.
And then there's something like there's in back into the surfing metaphor, it's the, if you imagine the surfer, and the surfer is seeing the spot, like they see the pocket in the wave breaking.
Right.
You might say they hope themselves into the spot.
Right.
Which is a combination of exactly two things. Right. One is holding a dispositional attitude of fluid, balanced relationship with what is in themselves.
Right.
Not holding themselves back. A big piece of this is not holding yourself back, right? Not getting in your head, not getting angry or reactive or tightening up, and then seeking the best place to be and orienting yourself towards that best place.
Right.
Like that's it. Those are the two components. If you have those two components, therein lies hope. Now reverse that. Say, let's imagine that's what Paul was saying, and see if that actually lands back on faith.
So he says it's the hope of things that are not yet seen. And I guess it's because it would meet very nicely, especially if you go into the Corinthian hymn towards agape, where it ends, where he's proposing the most excellent way, by the way, the way of agape, and then he proposes that in the end we will know as we are known. He proposes a sort of I suppose it's a culmination of participatory knowing. We will know as we are known, right? We will be in complete conformity with ultimate reality. And so faith, to use your metaphor, is the hope that sees that as a path, as a way that is realizable by a committed stance towards that possibility. That would work.
Yeah, that's great. And that is great. And there's something about that, like, okay, so just check this out. Now I'm bringing in Viktor Frankl.
Of course, that's great. Yeah.
Let's tap. Let's bring him in. Bring him in off the sidelines. No matter where you are, there is always hope, which is to say, no matter where you are, there is always an appropriate dispositional stance in relationship to where you are that orients you towards the best possibility of where you are.
Yes.
That's all we have to say.
Right, which is a possibility in the sense of a potentiality, not just an abstract logical possibility. And what was interesting about Frankl, because if you remember when he was talking about his time in the camp, he was very careful to situate. This goes back to what we were talking about, the sweet spot. He was very careful to situate what he was talking about with logos, by the way, logotherapy, right? Dialogos, it's all connected, right? Was right how he differentiated between the two groups that he saw weren't able to survive in the camps. There were the people who just gave up, of course, but there was people who actually had the magical hope. They would say, no, and they did willful assertion. We will be liberated on day X. I know it. And then day X would come, and of course the liberation would not occur, and then those people would very, very quickly fall apart. They would very quickly fall apart. So it's not an assertion, right? This hope, it's something else. I like your idea of turning it into a verb of orientation, and I see it almost like a kind of adducing of possibilities that then starts to afford a very nascent, but perhaps constantly accelerating reciprocal opening.
Yeah, think of it like a child learning how to do something, a
Yes.
child learning how to stand or to walk. It's that thing. It's like the feeling of the sense of what the accomplishment of the developmental growth is,
Right.
and the searching of all the different, a child learning how to walk, like lurching all over the place, but in that space of possibility, there's a spot over here that is that is called walking. And by the way, now we have an integrity in there too. The integration of all the distinct aspects of self into an increasingly coherent whole that achieves a competency. And hope is the orientation in that direction, right? The correct, by the way, it's very important, right? It's not delusional. It's a correct awareness of, in fact, the presence and the orientation, the directionality and the proximity towards that location.